Hello, my name is Nicholas Palm, and I'm going to be talking about the understanding of the two natures of Jesus Christ and the traditional understanding of these beliefs, a little bit about the debates, and to help have a better, more full picture of who Jesus Christ was historically. So, the first question that we must ask are what then are the two natures of Jesus? The first one we're going to talk about is that he was fully God. According to the Nicene Creed, which was written in the later half of the 300s, Jesus was begotten and not made. Why is this important? Well, for the Nicene Creed, this was put there to combat the idea that there was a time when Jesus did not exist. Part of what it means to be God is that you were uncreated. You are the uncreated creator, the beginning and the end, right? So, if Jesus was created and came after God, he would be less than fully divine, somebody that is then created. So the Christian argument was that Jesus was fully divine and there from the very beginning. He was God in his fullest form. However, there was an idea called Docetism, which stressed the deity of Christ and the neglect of his humanity. They argued that Christ did not really become flesh in Jesus of Nazareth, for the embodiment was considered beneath the dignity of the divine spirit. Rather, Christ's humanity of real suffering and weakness, it displayed only what seemingly or appeared to be real, since the divine, by definition, for the Gnostics or the people, some of the people at the time, could not suffer. Hence, the docetic label, which states and literally means to seem or to appear, saying that yes, Jesus was divine, and we're going to emphasize that. However, whenever he came down into the human flesh, he didn't really suffer. So they emphasize him being fully God and diminish the reality that he was fully human, which is the second nature, that Jesus was fully human. Okay? We have the idea that he was made human. This is in the Nicene Creed as well. He was made human. This is an essential part of what it means for Jesus Christ. This combated the idea of Docetism, and which denied that reality of Jesus' humanity. Like said previously, Jesus being human meant he actually suffered and actually went through the pain and the consequences of his death. So, the traditional Christian perspective, at least according to the Nicene Creed, was that he was begotten and not made. So he was there from the very beginning, but he was also fully, completely human. This brings us to the question, so was Jesus one person or was he two? If we're going to say that he was fully divine and that he was fully human, this makes it sound like he is two individuals, two persons, two essence. One patriarch of the faith, Nestorius, he believed and he advocated not one but two persons in Christ, one divine and one human, united only by a moral union of wills. The divine person of the Logos, or the Logos is translated in English as the Word, the divine essence of God, the indwelling, and morally influencing the human person of Jesus. So, in summary, Nestorius' belief was that the human person of Jesus, was influenced by the divine Logos, the divinity part of God, and they had a union of wills together, saying that there was two distinct individuals, and then they had a union with each other. Well, this idea was then rejected at the Council of Ephesus in the early 400s. The council affirmed that there was one person, or the term we use is a hypostasis of the Word, or the essence of God. Um, there's the hypostasis of the Word made flesh, or flesh meaning the idea of fully human. Everything that it means to be human, that's what Jesus was. So they were one. And this is in reference to John 1:14, which says, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us," in reference to the Son of God, Jesus Christ. So the Word became flesh. This was one person that was divine and human. Here we have the issue of the divine seesaws. What do I mean by that? Well, on the left, we have the seesaw that goes back and forth between the humanity and divinity, right? This is the debate that we talked about. Was Jesus fully human or was Jesus fully divine? And whenever they would say he was fully human, they would diminish the reality that Jesus was fully divine. And then the side that believed he was fully divine would diminish the reality that Jesus was fully human. In reality, the seesaw should not have been tipped to one side over the other. It should have been balanced. Well, then on the right side, we had people that accepted that Jesus was both fully human and fully divine. However, they said they were two persons. And then the argument would be, well, no, Jesus was one person. He was one essence. But then we got back to the issue again of that they would emphasize he was fully divine or that he was fully human. And the cycle kept continuing. So then we had a meeting in Chalcedon. This meeting that took place occurred around 450 AD, and this is a framework for us to view who Jesus Christ is. So, in the box is Jesus Christ, and on the top we believe we see the fully divine, and on the bottom we see he was fully human. We see on the right that he was two natures, but on the left we see that he was one person. So Chalcedonian's box sought to make a statement that affirmed the reality of who Jesus was in his complete essence. And it stated that Christ is one person in two natures, one nature being divine and one nature being human. And these natures are without confusion or change and without division or separation. So, when we view Jesus Christ, we have to view it in the framework of this box. If we view Jesus as two different persons, as one person being fully divine and one person being fully human, we have stepped outside of the box. It is not the one inside the one person framework. If we say that Jesus is only one nature, he's either fully divine or fully human, we have stepped out of that box. When we say Jesus isn't fully divine or isn't fully human, we have stepped out of the box. What it means for Jesus Christ to be Jesus Christ, according to the Nicene Creed and the early Christians, is what fits in this Chalcedonian box. He was one person of two natures, being fully divine and fully human, without separation and without change. Thank you. This is my presentation over the two natures of Jesus Christ.